So welcome to the today's class topic. Okay. So today's class topic is object-oriented programming, unit 4. Okay, today we are starting the fourth unit of the Python programming language subject. Okay. So our fourth unit first topic is we are starting with the what is mean by the class and how to create the objects for the class and what are the different features of the object-oriented programming. Okay, these all we will see in the our today's class. Okay. So outcome of the today's class is the student is able to understand what is mean by the object-oriented programming and what are the concepts of the object-oriented programming and able to implement the object-oriented programming concepts using the Python. Okay. Okay, first we will start with the introduction to the our object-oriented programming. One second. Okay, we'll start with the introduction to the object-oriented programming. Okay, the introduction of the object-oriented programming is starts with the okay, what is mean by the object. Okay, okay, in our daily life we can see the different types of things okay, as objects. Okay, say for example, I have a pen. Okay, the pen has the different information like the company name of the pen and color of the pen and the working of the pen. Okay, these all will be defines that particular object, okay, that particular thing. Okay, as in the same way, so whenever you want to represent the information, real life information in the computer, okay, then we will use these all information. Okay, that is how to represent the particular object in the computer. Okay, that we can do with the help of these objects. Okay. So with our in our previous programming languages, we have only the storage of different types of data as a collection. Okay, but whenever we are required to represent the functions of that particular object, okay, there is no facility in our previous programming languages. Okay, like C language and Pascal and other previous languages, we don't have this type of a facility. Okay, so that the object-oriented programming is introduced, especially to store the different types of data and also to implement the methods which are required to work on that particular data. Okay, so that we will call the object-oriented programming is a real-life programming. Okay, so whenever you want to specify any real-time object as a programming language object, okay, then it is easy to represent in the object-oriented programming. Okay. So, and this approach is used for creating the reusable code also. So that is also the one of the main advantage of the object-oriented programming, okay, which is familiar this much of in the programming languages. Okay, whenever you are using different types of programming languages at present, whatever we have in the market, okay, those all are the object-oriented programming languages. Okay, those all are used, especially the object-oriented programming is because of the reusability of the code. Okay, say for example, if you are developing a software, okay, which is developed for the particular organization, and the particular organization is initially having the only up to the say for example there are 3 branches for the organization. Okay, and after that some of years, okay, the organization is increased its branches to the 5 or 6 branches. Okay, then automatically you need to change your software, okay, so that it can accept that all the branches data also. Okay, for that without writing the code again, okay, you can reuse the existing software and you can add only the 2 branches to that and you can implement the software. Okay, that is you need not to rewrite the complete software again. Okay, you can just add the additional features or additional branches which are required to be added for the software. Okay, So you can use the existing software which is written for the first 3 branches, and you can add the additional things which are required for the remaining 2 branches. Okay, okay, that is the reusability of the code. Okay, this reusability we have in the C software and others also. Okay, but there we can use the only a reusability of the functions. Okay, we are not able to reuse the data. Okay, so within our previous language we can only reuse the functions with the help of a header files and others. Okay, but here in the object oriented programming you can reuse the data and also you can reuse the functions. Okay, okay, so that it makes a more flexibility to specify the reusability of the code. Okay, so and here the program is divided into the self-contained objects, okay, or we can call it as several mini programs. Okay, so whatever the functions you are writing in the class, that is within this object, okay, those all are treated as the mini programs or mini tasks. Okay, so you are dividing your task into the number of small tasks. Okay, and every individual object represents a different part of the application. Okay, that is nothing but, okay, whenever you are created the one object or one class for a particular purpose, okay, whenever you are creating the number of objects for that, okay, it automatically creates the different parts of the application. Okay, and also you can write the you can work with the different objects with the different types. Okay, so in different ways we can work with the objects. Okay, okay, this is the introduction to our object oriented programming. Okay, next we will compare with our object oriented programming with the procedure oriented programming. Okay, procedural oriented programming is the programming language which we have already before to this object oriented programming. Okay, those are the C, Pascal language. Okay, those all are the procedural oriented languages. Okay, let's see what is the difference between these two. Okay, the first difference is object oriented programming is a bottom up approach. Okay, that is you are starting from the data and you are moving up to the functions. Okay, okay, this is the bottom up approach. That is, we will whenever we want to do any particular task, okay, first we will decide the what is the data which is required for that task. Say for example, I want to perform the addition of 2 numbers. Okay, so then what we will do is first we will take the 2 numbers, okay, A and B, and then we will decide that what are the functions you can perform on that data. Okay, I have 2 numbers, so that I can perform the addition of the numbers, I can perform the subtraction or division or multiplication, or I can perform the maximum of 2 numbers, or I can perform the minimum of 2 numbers. Okay, that is I have the 2 numbers, that is 2 variables, 2 variables of number type. Okay, then I can perform the each and every operations which are required to perform with the 2 numbers. Okay, I can perform all the operations which requires the 2 numbers. Okay, so but in the procedural oriented language we will start from the top to the down. Okay, here we will first decide the functions. Okay, then based on the functions we will decide the data. Okay, say for example I want to perform the sum of 2 numbers. Okay, then I will declare the 2 variables and I perform the sum. Okay, whenever you require the multiplication of 2 numbers, again you will declare the other 2 variables and perform the multiplication. That is, every time whenever you are required to perform a particular task, okay, you will be declare the variables. Okay, that is the repetition of a data, and there is a inconsistency in the data. Okay, but in the object oriented programming, okay, we'll take a one copy of a data and the same data is used for the multiple functionalities. Okay, okay, so that it provides the single copy of a data for the multiple functions. Okay, okay, next in the object oriented programming, the difference is program is divided into the objects. Okay, that is nothing but say for example I want to develop a software for a company, then I can create the objects for one is for the employee, and one is for the, that is what are the all the employees which are there in the particular company. Okay, those all are represented as the employee object. Okay, say for example if you have the products information in that company, you can create a product object. Okay, so if you want to store the sales information in that company, you can create a sales object. Okay, So if you want to create information for the orders, you can create a order object. Okay, like that you can create the each individual information as an object, and the related data for that object is stored in that object, and the functionalities related for that data is also specified within the same object. Okay, okay, but in the procedural language, okay, you have the procedure program is divided into the functions. Okay, that is whenever you want to perform the employee related operations, okay, will be create the operation, the functions required for the employee data. Okay, say for example, there are the three functions. You will be define the three employee functions. Okay, if you require the sales information, you will be write the required functions for the sales. Okay, if you require for the orders, you will be create the orders related functions. Okay, so like that we can do in the procedural oriented programming, because we will decide the functions first. Okay, then we will create the data. But in the object oriented programming, first we will decide the data, that is, we will decide the object, then data, then functions. Okay, so that it is more convenient to perform the operations, okay, than that of the procedural oriented programming. Okay, so the next difference is in the object oriented programming, we have the facility to hide the data using the access modifiers. Those access modifiers are public access modifier, private access modifier, and protected access modifier. Okay, using these access modifiers, we can hide the data. Okay, this is not hiding a data, is not nothing but making a invisible data. Okay, here the hiding of a data is nothing but just we can hide in the logical way. That is, through the program we cannot we are not able to access that data. That is accessing hiding chestly, but it doesn't hide the variables without visible. Okay, so we can view the data, we can view the variable, but we are not able to access it. Okay, so there are the three types of accessibilities, like private, public, and protected. Okay, that three we will discuss in the later on in our class. Okay, and procedural oriented language, there is no facility of access modifiers or hiding of a data. Okay, there is no facility to hide the data here. Okay, so whatever the data is there, that can be accessed by the any function. Okay, by any part of the program can access the data. Okay, so here in the object oriented programming, we can restrict the, okay, some of the functions only can access the data, and some functions are restricted without accessing the data. Okay, and object oriented programming is more secured than that of the procedural oriented programming. Okay, that is in the case of a data hiding. Okay, we have the facility to hide the data. Excuse me. Okay, so that it is more secure than that of the procedural oriented programming language. Okay, so these are the basic four differences that we have between the object oriented and procedural oriented language. Okay, but we can extend these differences. Okay, these are not only basic and minimum differences between the procedural and object oriented. Okay, we can extend with the what are the things we can use in the procedural oriented, what can we have additional features in the object oriented. Okay, those all also we can write as the differences. Okay, okay, once you go through the features of the object oriented programming, there you will get the more differences between these two programming methodologies. Okay, next. Okay, are you able to understand? Okay, next we will see the example of the one of the class. Okay, so just we have what is mean by the class. Okay, here the class is nothing but a user defined data type. We can also call it as ADT, abstract data type, ADT. Okay, so that is nothing but you are creating a data type, okay, in an abstract way. Abstract way is nothing but which is not having a complete information. Okay, which has the brief information of the data type. Okay, so whenever we are writing a complete class, then we will have the full implementation of the class, but initially we'll call it as the abstract data type. Classes as the abstract data type, and also we can call it as user defined data type. Okay, So the user can create their own data type with the help of their required variables. They required data type of variables. Okay. Say for example, there is a class is a cake class. Okay. So cake is nothing but generally we have the some of the ingredients for the cake. Okay, like strawberries are required, sugar is required, lemon juice is required, and some baked tart shells is required, and 1.5 tablespoon of cornstarch is required, water is required, and vanilla essence is required. Okay, these are the ingredients or data which we required to create the cake or prepare the cake. Okay, so the method is the functions. That is what are the work we are doing with this data is the methods. Okay, here first is wash and hull the berries. Okay, first we will wash the berries and mix the sugar and cornstarch and salt in a small saucepan and arrange the, that is once after doing this will be kept into the oven and we'll get the cake, and then we will arrange the strawberries and other things on the cake. Okay. So this is the process of the preparing of a cake. Okay, so from this cake class, okay, we can prepare the different types of cakes. Okay, like these there are the three different shapes of the cakes. Okay, so one is filled with the complete strawberries, another is filled with a different way the strawberries, and third one is it's filled with the strawberries and others in the middle of the cake. Okay, that is using the same class, using the same data and same method. Okay, we are preparing the different types of cakes. Okay, so this is the what we will call it as the class. Okay, say for example, if you are taking a resume. Okay, so generally the resume format has the information like you need to mention the name of the person and experience of the person and educational details of the person. Okay, whenever you fill that resume with a particular person information, then that resume becomes the particular person resume. Until unless you are not filling any data in the resume, that will be called as a class. Okay, resume is a one class. Okay, whenever you fill the data in that resume with your information, then that resume becomes of your resume. Okay, that is the object. That is whenever you fill the data into that resume, okay, then it gets an instance of that resume. Okay, so that you'll be called that as an object. Okay, if that same resume format is used by the 100 members to fill their data, okay, then they have there is the 100 objects for the resume. That is 100 instances for the same resume. Okay, so like that we can call the class and object. Okay, so object is nothing but the instance of the class. That is existence of the class is provided whenever you create the object only. Okay, until unless class is only format. Okay, it doesn't have any existence. Okay, it has some temporary allocated memory space. Okay, but it doesn't have any complete existence. Okay, once you created the object and once you fill the data, then only you'll get the existence of that object. Okay. Okay, this is what we will call the class. Next, we will see the. Okay, is all of you posted the attendance? Is the CS posted the attendance? Okay, I got the absentees from the A section. Only the A section, I got the absentees. Remaining B and C sections. B and C sections, what about the attendance? Are you able to see all the participants? Participants list మీకు కనిపిస్తుంది కదా?
Yes, ma'am. Madam.
Okay. So then note down all the members are login with the roll numbers only, so that you can it is easy to note the absences. Okay, note down the absences and post me as early as possible. Thank you. Okay, now we'll continue our class. Okay. So it's an example class. Okay, say for example, there is a class is the account holder class, and with the attributes are surname of the person, prename of the person, address, profession, birthday. Say for example, there is a bank software. Okay, within that we have some account holder classes and account classes. Okay, so account class has some information like holder information, number of the account, credit line, and balance in the account, and the holder of the dispose or something. Okay, and the functionalities to be performed are in the account holder. The functionalities is a change of residence, change of profession. Okay, that is when once you are opened the account in the bank, and whenever you want to change the information like residence information, whenever you shift it from one place to another place, you have to change the residence information. Okay, then you can go to the bank and you will be request for the change of residence. Okay, so that is the functionality of the account holder class. That is using the account holder data, you can perform the operation is change of residence. Okay, and change of profession also. Okay, if the person is changing from one profession to another profession, previously he is a businessman, and now he has become as a employee in the another organization, then he has to change the profession. Okay, so as the same way for the account class, okay, there the functionalities is deposit the amount, withdraw the amount, transfer the amount, and standing order for the account. Okay, these are the different operations that can be performed on the account. Okay, so based on the data what we have in the class, based on that only we can write the functions. Okay, if you don't have the any particular data which is required for the functions, then we will declare the variable, then we can perform the operation. Okay, otherwise we can limit the methods which are up to the data available only. Okay, so these data items are called as the attributes or properties, and the functions of the data are called as the methods. Okay, so once you write the any function in the class is called as a method. Okay, if it is outside the class, then that is called as a function. If it is written within the class, then that is called as a method. Okay, so and if the variable is declared outside the class, that is called as a normal variable. If it is declared within the class, then that is called as a attribute or a property, or we can also call it as data members of the class. Okay, next. Okay, next we will see the some of the terminology that we used within the object oriented programming. Okay, the simple terminologies, that the words that we generally use within the object oriented programming. Okay,
ఎవర్రా పప్పియా
బాలేదు తెలుసు కానీ ఏం
okay, the first word is the class. Okay, class is nothing but we are saying that it is a blueprint of the creating of an object. Okay, that is we can call it as a format for the creating of an object. Okay, so whenever you want to create a particular data, okay, then we need to specify the data type for that. Okay, then only we can use that data value. Say for example, in a language, if you want to store the value 10, okay, then there must be a data type which can store the this in number value. Okay, say if it is the C language, I have a data type is the int. Okay, so that I can store the 10 value into the int data type. Okay, whenever you want to use the int data type, we'll be create a variable for the int data type. Okay, then we can assign the value to the variable. Okay, that is data type is only one, but we can create the number of variables. Okay, say if you require the 100 integer values, then only you can create the 100 variables. Okay, but there is only one data type. Okay, so as in the same way, here in the object oriented programming also we have only one class which defines the data type of the that particular class. Okay, So whenever you want to use this class, okay, then we need to create the objects. Okay, there is no limit for the objects. We can create a n number of objects and we can use that class. Okay. So Python is a built-in programming language with the object-oriented programming. So whatever the things we are using up to now in the Python, each and every one is defined as a class, and we are using that class as objects. Okay. So we have number of number of built-in data types in the Python. Okay, and data structures in the Python, okay, like a list, data, tuples, sets, dictionaries. Okay, those all are the classes. Okay, for those classes we are creating the variables so that we are creating the objects. Okay, so as in the same way, we can also create our user-defined class, and we can store our user-defined data in the classes. Okay. So, and then we will see what is mean by the class variable. Okay, class is a data type, we know that. Okay, so now we'll see what is mean by the class variable. So here the class variable is nothing but the variable which is used to create within the class. Okay, this is different than that of the normal data member in the class. Okay, that is also especially within the Python, we have a difference in the class variable and data member. Okay, so class variable is the variable which is created in the class. Okay, so the variable is a single variable that will be shared by all the objects of the class. Okay, so there is no different variables, different class variables for the different objects. We have only a single copy of a class variable for the multiple objects. Okay, so as in the case of a data member, here these are called as the instance variables. Okay, so these instance variables are different for the different objects. Okay, so they each and every, within the methods will create the instance data members, that is instance variables are created within the methods, but class variables are created within the class. Okay, so the instance variables are shared by all the objects of the created for the different objects of the class. Okay. So I will see in detail about these class variables and instance variables. Okay. An instance is nothing but the object which is created for the class is the instance. Okay, so or we can call it as the existence of the object, existence of the class. Okay, that is by using the object. Okay, so we can create n number of instances for a class. There is no limit for the instances. We can create n number of instances. An instance variable is, we already seen that instance variable is nothing but the variable which is defined within a method. Okay, so just remember that the variable which is defined within the method is the instance variable. Okay, defined within a method is the instance variable. Okay. And next, instantiation is nothing but creating the object is called as the instantiation. That is creating a object, the line which used to create the object is called as instantiation, or the process of creating the instance of the class is called as the instantiation. Okay. Next we'll see what is mean by the method. Okay, the method is nothing but is a function which is written in the class is called as a method. Okay, the methods are the functions which are able to access the data members of the class. Okay, other than the methods of the class, there is no other function can access the variables of the data members of the class. Okay, so based on the accessibility restriction, the other functions can access, otherwise only the methods can access the data members. Okay. Next is the object is also called as the instance. Both are the same, object or instance. Okay, so which can access the properties and which can access the methods of the class from outside the class. Okay, whenever you want to access the class from the outside of the class, then only we can create the object and we can access the class. But without creating the object, we are unable to access the class, and there is no use of the class also. Okay, once you created the object, then only we have use of the class. Okay. Next, we'll see the features of the object-oriented programming. Okay. And one thing I want to tell you all the students, okay, note down the main points or side headings of the classes. Okay, don't just listen. Okay, prepare the small notes of your online classes. Okay, even you know all these topics. Okay, so better to make a small running notes for the online classes. Okay. Next is the function overloading. The features of the object-oriented programming. One of the feature is the function overloading. Okay, the first feature is actually the abstract data type creation, and second feature is data hiding, and next is the function overloading actually. So function overloading is nothing but we can define the more than one functions with the same names. Okay. We can also call it as the overloading is nothing but say for example you have already assigned a work, one particular work, and if you have assigned the more than another 2 or 3 works, okay, then you will be feel that it is overloading of the work. Okay, same as here also function overloading is nothing but okay, the function name is the same, but you are assigning the more works to the same function name. Okay, so that is called as the function overloading. That's the same way of our real life thing. Okay, whenever a person, the same person is the same, but you are assigning the 10 works to the same person. Okay, then it is the overloading. As the same way here, it is the function is the same, function name is the same, but you are assigning the more works to the same function. Okay. And next feature is inheritance. Okay, where we can have the inheritance is we can create the new classes, or we can provide the reusability of the code with the help of this inheritance feature. Okay, so we have existing one class, and I want to create a new class, and which is to be access the existing class. Okay, then I can link the new class with the existing class. Okay, that is called as the inheritance. Okay, in a real life, the inheritance is nothing but the parent and child relationship. Okay, so the parents parents are the existing classes and childs are the new classes. Okay, whenever you want to use the properties of the existing class, that is properties of the parent are derived to the childs. Okay, as in the same way here also, the existing classes features and properties are derived to the our new classes. But at the same time, the new class has their own features and their own properties. As the same way, the child has their own features and their own habits and their own properties of the child. As the same way here in the inheritance of the programming language also. Okay, so we can use all the features which are available in the parent class, and at the same time, the child class has their own features. Okay. Okay, this is the example of the inheritance. Okay, say for example, there is an account class which is already there, and with the variables are with the data members are holder that is account holder number, and number of the account, and balance in the account. So from this account class, okay, I have derived the two classes as savings account and gyro account. Okay, savings account is the one of the type of account, okay, which has the additionally the interest rate. Okay, and gyro account has a credit line, debit interest, and credit interest also. Okay, these are the three additional features which are required for this gyro account class. Okay, additional that is with a combination of these three also. Okay, that is gyro account also has the holder number and balance, and additionally it has these three variables. Okay, as the same way the savings account has these three variables: holder number, balance, and additionally it has interest rate. Okay, and at the same time these two functions also used for the child classes. Deposit and withdraw function is also used by the savings account class, and these same two methods are also used by the gyro account class. Okay. And the next feature is the operator overloading feature. Okay, here the operator overloading is similar to the function overloading. Here the operator overloading is called as like say for example I have a plus operator, Okay, the same plus operator you can use for the addition of the two numbers, and at the same time you can use to concatenate the two strings. Okay, so you can use for addition of two numbers or for concatenating of the two strings. Okay, that is nothing but the same operator is used for the two tasks. So that we will call it as the overloading. Okay, okay, these operators are already overloaded in our Python. Okay. The same functionality we can use within the operator overloading. If you want to do our own operator overloading, then we can write for the our own code for the operator overloading also. Okay. And next is the encapsulation. Okay, encapsulation is nothing but generally we'll call it as the hiding of the data. Okay, or we can call it as restricting the access of the data. Okay. Okay, this restriction is only for the logical restriction, and this is restricted for some particular parts of the class. Okay, like some of the functions of the program can access the data members, and some other functions are not able to access the data. Okay. Okay, say for example, I have a functions in have a data of employee class, and I want to restrict the employee class data to be accessed by the only the methods in that employee class. Say for example, if there is another class like a student class or a sales class or some other, okay, those classes should not access my employee class data. Okay, so then I can provide the restriction for my data using the encapsulation feature. Okay. Next, encapsulation is like this. Say there is an account holder class, okay, and there are some variables like surname, prename, address, and profession and birthday. Okay, and these are the birthday variable, birthday member, that is data member, can be accessible only by the get and set methods of the that particular data. Okay, get the birthday, that is you can return the birthday variable value, and the set birthday is to assign the value to the birthday variable. Okay, as in the same way, to get the surname, you can use the get method for the surname, and you can use the set method to assign the set the surname of the person. That is without giving directly the variable access. Okay, you are giving the variable data change based on these methods. Okay, using the get and set methods, you can provide the user to access your variables. Okay, so we didn't provide directly the variable to the user. Okay. Okay, next is the polymorphism. Okay, polymorphism is nothing but which we have already seen. The two features of the object-oriented programming, like operator overloading and function overloading. Okay, this overloading is the operator overloading and function overloading. Okay, these two are the features. These two are the implementation methods of the polymorphism. Okay. So polymorphism is nothing but the same object or same name can be used in the different ways or in the multiple ways. Okay, say for example, you have a box, and the same box can be used to place the books, or can be used to place the any other things, or can be used to carry the some big item. That is same box you are using for the multiple purposes. Okay, as in the same way the overloading is also. Okay, you can use the same name or same operator for multiple purposes. Okay. Okay, that is also one of the feature for our object-oriented programming, polymorphism. Okay, like this. Okay, there is a operating system is the main class, and here we have the multiple operating systems. Okay, there is a all these are all the operating systems, but the names are the different. Okay, but operation that is working of these operating systems is also different. Okay. So, but you are using a same operating system word for in multiple ways. Okay, in like a different ways. You are interacting to the hardware of your computer in the different ways or with the different softwares. Okay. Okay. Okay, this is the quiz for the first part of the object-oriented programming. Okay, that is up to now we covered the what is mean by the object, what is mean by the class, and what are the features of the object-oriented programming. Okay, based on that, okay, you just answer for this quiz. Okay, so answer this quiz answers in chat box and post me in the private. Okay, don't post to the everyone. Post me only. Okay, post the answers for this quiz. 2 minutes you have the time. Okay, the first one is what is called when a function is defined inside a class. Don't post in the everyone. Post me only in the private. Okay, don't post the answer. Just give the A, B, C, D. A or B or C, D. And give all the answers at a time. First bit answer, second bit answer, third bit and fourth bit answer. And second one is which of the following represents a distinctly identifiable entity in the real world. Next, third one is which of the following statements is most accurate for the declaration of x equals to circle. And fourth one is which of the following statements are correct. Okay, so I'll tell you the answer. Some of the members are given the correct answers, but maximum 3 and 4 bits are giving a wrong answers. Okay, the first one, the answer is method. Okay. So if a function is defined within the class, then it is called as a method. Okay. And which of the following represents a distinctly identifiable entity in the real world? Okay, distinctly identifiable entity, okay, is called as an object. Okay, an object is a distinctly identifiable entity in the real world. Okay. And next, third one is which of the following statements is most accurate for the declaration of x equals to circle. Okay, that is here that the statement is creating of the object for a class. Okay, so x contains an object of the circle type. Okay, circle is a type, that is circle is a class for which we are creating a object. So x contains an object of the circle type. Okay, B is the correct answer. And for the fourth one, which of the following statements are correct? The first statement is a reference variable is an object. Okay, and a reference variable refers to an object. An object may contain other objects. An object can contain the references to other objects. Okay, an object can contain references to other objects is it's also right, but actually the correct answer is a reference variable is an object. Okay, so reference variable is an object. Okay, is also created as an object and which can point to the a particular object. Okay, though using that we can access the members of that particular object. Okay, so a reference variable is an object is the correct answer, A. Okay, shall we move on to the next topic? Okay. Okay, this is the structure of creating a class. Okay, so whenever you have to create a class, we'll use this structure. Class is a keyword used to create the class, and here is the class name colon. Then start the data members. If you want to assign any default value to the data members, you can assign the value, and then we can write the member functions. Okay, for each function, we'll start with the colon, and then we'll write the code for the member function. Okay, this is the general structure of the our class. Okay. Say for example, I want to create a class is the class party animal is the class name colon starting with the class code of the class. X equals to 0, x is a variable. Okay, can you guess what type of a what we will call this x variable? Okay, is it is a class variable or instance variable? X is a class variable or instance variable? X is an instance class variable. Okay, why? Because it is created within the class. Okay. So next we have a method is party method. Okay. Here for each and every method, each and every member functions in the class, we have a one default parameter is the self. Okay, which points to the same class current instance, or we can call it as the current instance or current object of the class. Okay. So using this self only we can access the instance variables of the class or class variables of the class. Okay. So using this only we can access the either instance variables or class variables. So here we are assigning the value, that is incrementing the x variable value self dot x equal to self dot x plus 1 and printing the x variable value. Okay. So here we are creating, that is this is the closing of the class. Up to this the point the class is closed, and outside the class we are creating the object for the party animal class an, and then we are calling the party method. Here we are calling for the 3 times. Can you guess what will be the output for the third method? X value for the third calling of the party function. Here we are using a class variable. Class variable is shared by all the objects of the class. Okay, so that whenever you call for the first time, x is the 1, and for calling for the second time, x is the 2, and for calling for the third time, x is the 3. Okay. So the same variable is incremented for 3 times so that you will get the value 1, 2, 3. Okay. So by this we will stop the today's class, and we'll continue in the next class with the data encapsulation feature and inheritance feature, and we'll also see the function overloading and polymorphism features also. Okay, and we'll also go through the different class variables and instance variables, how to create them and how to work with those all instance variables and class variables. Okay, and for the next class you have a tutorial questions, and you need to answer the tutorial questions for the next class, that is the next coming class. Okay, so in practice these all, okay, in your Python window. Okay, just go through these features of the object-oriented programming, and practice the creating of a different classes. Okay, so try to create the different classes using the Python.
Okay.
Thank you, and for today this is the end of our class, so you can leave. Okay, is all the 3 CRs posted the attendance? Is all the 3 CRs posted the attendance?
Yes, ma'am. Hello, madam.
Oh, okay. Okay, I will take the attendance. I will note down that attendance, and this is the attendance for your exam also. Okay, whenever you are need to be attend for the your SEM exams and others, this is the attendance is considered. So inform to your classmates that is to be attended. Attendance is mandatory for them. Okay. Thank you and bye.
Marina, Marina, Marina.